WWE No Mercy 2003. Yep. It's that show. Father versus daughter I quit match. I mean, there's John Cena versus Kurt Angle. There's some BDSM. There's a diarrhea burrito. People are getting permanently blinded by mist. There's ninjas storming the ring. Yeah. That's all the normal stuff you see from wrestling. But there's a goddamn father hitting his daughter with a pipe until she submits. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. And we get into all of it and more right here on the Apron Bump Podcast.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
Oh, what's up, everybody? I don't know why I just broke out in Tatanka speak for no reason, but hey, glad to have you here. Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I'm your host of the hardest part of the ring, Kyle Bird. How is everybody doing today? Happy Bump Day, everybody. Glad you can be with us. Because we got some rootin' tootin' 2003 to talk about here. And this is the most 2003 show. This show does not age tremendously well. Just with a lot of people that are on it. Yeah, I feel like I'm watching. I feel like this feels like a Progress Wrestling review. Like pretty much everybody on this card is not cool anymore. But well, not everybody. There's only like 3 people. Who is those 3 people? We'll get to it. But yeah, as I mentioned, if you know this show for anything, No Mercy 2003, it's Vince McMahon versus Stephanie. I mean, come on. Let me tell you, this shit, like you see it on paper. I had vague memories of this match and this whole feud. Let me tell you, it's 10 times worse than you remember. If you haven't seen this in a while, it's bonkers. All of it's bonkers. It's just unnecessary. Like, there's no reason behind it, really, even. It's shocking for the sake of shocking, but man, it is, there's a lot of stuff to get into with that. So it's good podcast fodder, I guess. So that's here. Main event. We got the WWE title on the line. Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker. Nope, it's not that No Mercy WWE title match between Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker. It's not that one. It's not 2002. It's not Hell in a Cell, which was one of the best Hell in the Cell matches that, well, one of my favorites at least, which I have covered. Which, by the way, if you like this era of wrestling, you like the Ruthless Aggression era, go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab, and hit Ruthless Aggression. And that'll bring you to all of the early, mid-2000s WWE shows that I've covered chronologically. I started from Royal Rumble 01, a little bit of Attitude Era, Invasion stuff, and I've worked my way through every single pay-per-view up until now, where we are in, October of 03. And it's been a journey. It's not all good. There's some good. There's some good on this show even. You know, there's a lot to make fun of. Like I said, there's a biker chain match between Brock Lesnar and Undertaker, which just drove me fucking crazy. One of the dumbest gimmick matches. Anything on a pole, at least how WWE books them, drives me crazy. And we'll get into why here in the episode. Eddie Guerrero versus Big Show for the United States title. More just tomfoolery, you know, behind that. Like, it's an okay match, but the story at hand is a little sketch. Got A-Train versus Chris Benoit. We got the Basham brothers are here doing very, how do I describe it? I mean, it's beyond erotic what they do. I don't even know if that's the right word. I think erotic is underselling it. But I'll let you, we have some audio of their segment for you guys to enjoy. Just don't listen to it around your conservative family, I guess. Rey Mysterio versus Tajiri. Like, there's some good wrestling. Like I said, we got John Cena versus Kurt Angle as well, which is arguably John Cena's real launch pad here, and a lot of good stuff, a lot of bad stuff on the show, but that's wrestling. And I'll tell you who is not bad, is just all good. Might have suspicious kinks to him, but we don't judge here. And that is my boy Pluggo from the Between Two Beards podcast, representing Love Wrestling, joining the podcast, having him on today. Great time with my boy Pluggo. We were wanting to get his co-host JPJ on as well, but there was some schedule shenanigans afoot. We'll get him on at some point. But it was a good time with Pluggo. He was a good one to have on here. I'll just say that. Go check out the Between Two Beards podcast. They cover wrestling, both, the current mainstream stuff, your WWEs, your AEWs, but they also do a lot of stuff with independent wrestling as well. Very entertaining guys. They have guests. It's a whole thing. Check them out on YouTube and on social media. All that stuff will be in the description below. Great guys. Well, Pluggo was. I haven't met the other one. I assume that they're both great guys. But that was a fun time with old Plugster. And follow me at Apron Bump on all the social medias. You know the deal. Give this bad boy a rating, a 5-star rating or review. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a like, give it a subscribe, leave a comment. What weapon would you use to beat your daughter in a wrestling match? Sound off in the comments. Let's just get right into it, baby. Let me stop edging you. WWE No Mercy, 2003, with myself and Pluggo from the Between Two Beards podcast. So, domestic abuse, thoughts, Pluggo?
It's not good, ever. Don't do it. I try to tell my wife that all the time, that domestic violence is a two-way street. Like, so when she's hitting on me and she's calling them love taps,
right?
They're not love taps, but
is that what the judge is?
But I was also told growing up that if a girl hits you, it means she likes you. So my wife loves me.
Right. I was wondering about that black eye, but you just cleared that up.
we have a gimmick on one of my podcasts where we put up, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is not real.
Oh, I'm cutting that out. Don't even. I'm cutting that
fine.
out. No, we're gonna get the police at your house. You said you're from Indiana, so that narrows it down enough. They'll find you.
She's wonderful. Please don't.
Well, hey, domestic abuse might have been fine in 2003, but speaking of which, actually, hold on. People in 2003 had no mercy about abusing their spouses, but speaking of which, that's the one. No mercy, man. 03. We'll obviously dive into all the matches and stuff individually, but just overall thoughts about what you witnessed.
You picked a good one, man. I was like, oh, we're watching this. Oh, because sure. I had forgotten about 2003. Heck, I forgot about 2023 at this point. And I was like, oh, I'm strapping in for 3 hours of
goodness.
Choices. We'll say choices. Then, okay, and again, let me preface this, and I'm sure you've had other people on and you've done these retro reviews and they've said kind of similar things. That was 2003, right? That was wrestling then. It was working. It was big. It was.
Yeah, they're outraged as well.
Was that my cat? This show is going off the rails from 2 minutes in. I don't know what was that, but hey, anyway. Yeah, so 2003, that was the time. That was the era. And back then, I'm probably going, this is awesome.
Oof.
I watch it now, 20 years later, as a father of 4, and go, maybe I wouldn't do that. But hey, no mercy. 2003. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, because was that a daughter that was making that noise?
No, that was a cat. That's the weirdest noise that cat's ever made.
You sure you want
to? Are you okay?
Yeah, the cat just responded. But yeah, I was asking because if you were at a match with your child, do you think you'd keep it like below the neck? Do you think you might just go lucha style? What would your strategy be if you had to attack your child in a match for your job?
Well, it depends on which one.
Okay.
So I have 4. And I love all of them equally, yet different.
How old are they?
Depends. I have from 15 and a half down to 5.
Okay.
The 5-year-old, I'm fighting dirty.
Okay.
I'm not even hesitating.
Uh-huh.
If it's a situation where I got to put him in a wrestling ring and it's an I quit match, I'm pulling out all the stops because he's crazy. He's ruthless. He'll fight back. My 15-year-old, he's got a pretty good looking face, unlike his dad. So I'm gonna avoid the face.
That's nice of you. What a guy.
Just saying. He's handsome. I want him to, live long and prosper.
Right.
The daughter, on the other hand, I don't know if I would be able to get a shot in. I think she's been chomping at the bit to hit me.
I mean,
it might be. It might be like Stephanie McMahon hot out of the gate, just wailing on Vince in that match. She might just come straight out the gate, and I might not know what to do.
Yeah, man. I was about to say, as long as you have a lead pipe with you, you might need it.
I don't keep lead pipes just readily.
You don't have a cartoonishly big lead pipe to hit your daughter with? What? Are you not prepared for anything?
No, not at all. She's I don't know. She might take me. She tells me all the time she could take me. And I always tell her it's because, I'm a nice guy. And I'm a lover, not a fighter.
What a generous fellow you are. You got to appreciate it.
And then my 8-year-old, 9-year-old, I probably just have to look at him wrong and he might cower in fear and just quit automatically. Right. I got that going for me, but he's tough too. But yeah, man, I was trying to remember how they got to that point, right? How they were like, was this the time, like, because when Stephanie lost, they said, "Oh, we're getting a new GM." Was this the Eric Bischoff debut? The next?
No, so Eric Bischoff is already there. He's already
there. Okay.
And I had to say, because let me tell you something. I've been watching like all the SmackDowns and stuff leading up to this, so I have all the context that I could possibly have. And even me watching this pay-per-view, I'm like, why is this happening? And they're not even really like explaining. It's basically just Vince is a dick and he's an egomaniac and that's basically the extent of it. He hasn't like the
shocker, right? Anybody's shocked on that?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. Watching Vince in hindsight is to me, I think I've said this before. I have a tougher time watching Vince now than I do Benoit. Just because what Vince is doing on screen is like what he was doing.
It's like the blueprint. Yeah.
Like Benoit's not killing people for storyline, so but yeah, man. But yeah, it's this whole show. If you know people listening, if you know the show for anything, you probably know it for the Vince McMahon versus Stephanie McMahon I Quit match. And we'll dig into it once we get there. But the show opens up with a haunting, vignette video package kind of highlighting this. Here's a little, let's just set the tone here before we get into anything.
You do this to me. You have any idea how this is going to affect me?
We don't have to have this match. Daddy, come back.
Oh, yes, we do. You know why we do? Because you become a disrespectful little bitch.
Daddy, you're a silly.
Daddy, you're a silly.
Put his hands on me.
I will strike down the face of defiance.
I know that I can't back down.
You want me to take Daddy's little girl and crush her in my hand and throw it on the mat?
Somebody went, this is the way you open a pay-per-view. This is the move.
Dude, it's the little girl's voice in the background is just, it makes it so real. Oh, but I guess it's what they're aiming to do. So
2003. I'm telling you,
it was a wild west.
Like I said, different eras, man, different eras. I don't think that would fly today. I mean, unless eventually Triple H wants to run it back and he fights one of his daughters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a few years, we get Trips versus one of his daughters in a match. I don't know.
I mean, we got Ray and Dominic. That's close.
We did get Ray. We got Ray Mysterio. We got both Dominic's daddies in this pay-per-view. Ray and
look at that. Look at that.
Look at all. Yeah, it was just like it's all kind of like,
it's a full circle, first circle, including this opening match. We got the Cruiserweight title on the line. We got the champion, Tajiri, defending against Rey Mysterio. Who daddy? I mean, you see this on paper, you know it's going to be a good match. Yeah. The Cruiserweight division, there was like a year or two here where they were just hitting like every time they went out there, and we're in the heart of it here. Tajiri's got this new heel demeanor to him. Ray is Ray. He's white hot as always. I mean, you could argue match of the night here. It's arguable, but I had a good time watching this. What do you think about this match?
Oh yeah, when Tajiri came out, I was like, all right, cool. We're starting off strong. I like that. And then Ray's out there. Fun match. I loved at the beginning the ref like checked Tajiri's mouth. Like, bro, come on.
The mist. Yeah, the mist has become...
He's like, where's it at? And Tajiri's like, what are you talking about? I never missed anybody.
This stupid referee. He conjures it up. Like, it doesn't start in his mouth. He brings it up from his cockles.
It's like in his soul, and he just brings it out at the perfect moment. But and then there was the fan. Was those fans or was those actual wrestlers? Because again, you said you've watched Surrounding. Who was that tried to get in there at the end there that cost Ray the match ultimately?
So I think they were rogue ninjas, actually, that entered the fray, which is very bizarre. No, so this is actually their debut, which I guess we'll touch on that at the end here, but. Yeah, so Tajiri is, I guess, he comes out of this with a bit of a faction. One of the guy is Jimmy Wang Yang, I think, but that's not his character yet. I forget what their names are.
An all-time great character.
Tajiri's henchman. The other guy I think passed away recently.
What a way to debut! Cole's like, they're just some fans. Hopefully they get prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And you're like, all right.
Sakota and Akio. Yes, and they have not been introduced on TV yet, so this was their introduction. Like you said, Michael Cole was like, "Are these just fans entering the ring?" But
no, these two put on a banger, as the kids say. I don't think people were saying banger in 2003.
No, not in that context.
What was the slang back in there for a hot match? When was that?
This was sick, nasty, maybe.
Yeah, sick, bro.
This was
dope. It was dope.
It was
dope too early.
Yeah, I think you're too early on that. I don't think dope came around until maybe like 10 years.
Was it rad?
Rad, probably closer to rad. Probably far out. No, that's too late.
That's way too.
Yeah,
that's 90s. Far out, man.
But yeah, you bring up 90s. It felt very. I don't know how familiar you are with WCW. It felt
grew up on WCW.
Hell yeah, man! Because the way it was like very grounded. In the beginning, there was a lot of like submissions. You had like Ray working the legs. You had Tajiri working the arms of Ray. So there was some fun. You think cruiserweight, you think it's going to be balls to the wall immediately, but it wasn't really.
I was gonna say, but that's exactly how WCW in the 90s and this early 2000s WWE operated. They're like, we're gonna have a domestic dispute in a couple matches. We got to get some submission holds. Right. We got to get some technical. We got to be able to tell our advertisers this is a wrestling program, not Springer. Right. So Tajiri, Ray, get out there, work the body parts, do some cool stuff. We're good to go, and let's get it out of the way early.
So you're saying there's like a certain amount of arm bars that balances out hitting your daughter with a pipe?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm also saying that's why Eric Bischoff argued with his Turner higher ups all the time, because they were like, you have to have at least 17 arm bars to be considered wrestling.
Okay. And
Eric's like, I want to spray paint things and do crazy shit. And can I say that on this program?
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to get you FCC'd or something. But yeah, so that's basically what really the argument was, is he didn't have enough wrestling, right? And that's the same for Vince and all them. Yeah, if you're going to hit your daughter with a pipe, we need some rest holds.
Okay, yeah, so there's a formula there. That's good to know.
I need some Luthez presses.
And then we'll have the mom saving the daughter from getting abused by the father. Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's called a balance. That's all it was. It's just a balancing act.
Right. Hey, what are your thoughts on Mist in wrestling, just in general?
I think it's awesome.
It rules, right?
Every time. I pop for it every time. I know it's coming, whether it's Asuka, Tajiri, somebody else. I'm like, oh man, how did you not? And I always pop for it because the ref never goes, your face wasn't blue 30 seconds ago. What happened?
That's how much he got hit. Black and blue, right?
But Tajiri's was green, so he really got hit. But it's like, how do you not make the connection that, like, you checked for the mist at the beginning of the match, and then the mist happens? You know where that came from. Are you not watching tape? Do referees not watch game tape?
Look, you can't call what you don't see. They're plugs, all right? So
it's fair, but I could see you painted blue when you weren't I could see that.
Okay, but Sting comes out in white and black. That doesn't mean he's missing people. Maybe Tajiri just made a fashion
true.
change late game in the match.
That's true. That's true. I'm just
Put on some
curious
lip
if
gloss.
are you watching game tape? You're like, oh, got to watch for that mist.
Well,
It's coming.
I'll tell you this. Taz made a very astute point here. Ray was attacking the jaw of Tajiri, so that prevents him from misting, or at least Taz thought. I don't know the science behind that.
I mean, I guess if you break a jaw and you can't, the mist isn't as potent, but I can still spit, right?
Oh yeah, that's what I
I've
tell
never
my
had a
wife.
broken jaw. If there's any experts in the chat watching this, let me know. But I
Yeah.
feel like I could at least get something going.
I think it comes more from like the diaphragm than the jaw. I would assume. I've never missed like you. I've never missed at anybody.
And that mist burns your eyes and your retinas, but not the inner workings of your mouth.
Right.
Mist is such an enigma. I need to go down the rabbit hole of like the origins of
Well,
mist.
Are you familiar with the lore of mist and what the different colors signify?
No, please go on.
Well, I bring this up because Tajiri recently introduced the black mist, which he misted in the face of Nydia on SmackDown, which left her blind, permanently blind. So that's what black mist does. Green mist just obstructs the opponent's vision. This is all according to the internet, by the way, which would never steer me wrong.
No.
Red mist burns the eyes. I guess green doesn't burn the eyes. Blue mist sends the opponent to sleep. Yellow mist paralyzes the opponent entirely. Purple mist causes momentary distraction and memory loss.
So now you've got me thinking back on who's used the mist the most. Why wouldn't you just go for the yellow mist every time?
Why isn't everybody using mist? Why isn't wrestling just a mist off?
Why isn't Roman Reigns going, acknowledge me, instead of acknowledge me like this? Like,
That's a
that
good
doesn't
point.
do anything.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you what, it's a missed opportunity.
Hey! If more wrestlers start misting after seeing this podcast, we expect royalties.
We know why. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Listen, SummerSlam, Rhea Ripley comes out and starts misting people.
The match is going to be like the old NXT logo. It's just colors and white.
Yeah, looks like a color by numbers out there. That gives Logan Paul a new idea for a Prime bottle logo. He's like, ooh, rainbow colors. Yeah.
You might be joking, but that sounds like a thing they would do. So I wouldn't, it's not a much stretch.
I just print money. I just print money for other people, not myself ever, just other people.
What a guy. That's a theme.
I know,
He's just
right?
a good guy.
Right. Don't take any of these good ideas and run with them. I just put them out into the internet and let others steal them and then go, oh, wait a minute, that was me.
There you go. It's a collaborative effort. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. But missed aside, there's some good stuff here towards the end. There's one point where Tajiri just propels Ray up into the air and Ray lands on the top rope, comes back with a moonsault for a 2 count. Just crazy balance. Ultimately, though, Ray hits the 619, hits the West Coast pop. But then, as we mentioned, ninjas storm the ring. One gets in the ring, one's in the crowd. This distracts Ray, distracts the ref, and Tajiri's able to hit the buzzsaw kick for the win. So he retains his title with a dubious means, but I guess he'll have himself a sort of a faction going forward. So that's fun. That's fun.
And I think Rey Mysterio kind of went on to some bigger and better things anyway. So
Eventually. Yeah.
So I don't think he necessarily needed a cruiserweight belt. I miss it. I miss the little cruiserweight title.
I do too.
Not the purple one. This one.
Yeah, I didn't mind the purple one, but I would definitely prefer this one.
Just the way that they booked it.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah. 205 Live, baby. Who could forget?
Fun fact, the last time that cruiserweight title main evented a segment on Raw was when Enzo Amore held it.
Yeah.
There you go, kids. Enjoy that little nugget for a little while.
What a time. What a time.
What another
2018 was or
weird
whatever.
time. Yeah.
But boy, howdy. After that, we got something a little different. We got old A-Train taking on Chris Benoit. The story, not much of a story here. Just 2 guys that don't like each other. 2 guys that are kind of on the cusp of the main event. So it's kind of where it falls on the card here. I was watching this. I was like, man, Benoit is going to be leaving the main event of WrestleMania as world champion in just like 5 months from now. And it does not feel like it really
Right.
at all. I mean, he's getting a great reaction. So maybe this is like the beginning of the groundswell for him, but it's just kind of a throwaway match. It wasn't a bad match, though, I will say.
I know it's always tough to talk about Chris Benoit.
Sure,
If you're just talking about him in a vacuum in a wrestling ring, he was phenomenal. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. Like, he was very good, but obviously all of the other stuff kind of really, and rightfully so, tarnishes his legacy. But this match was fine. I forgot, like, I think I had told you in the pre-show here that I had forgotten A-Train existed for a hot minute. What's with the decision to not shave the body hair off? Like, that's a lot.
Look, man, some guys wear masks, some guys wear face paint, tassels.
Looked like he had a sweater on.
Wait, you look like a guy that might have a similar kind of chest and back, maybe?
Yeah, I got a little chest hair, but not like where it's just like, it looks like it. Yeah, I don't know. I got a little bit, not a lot like that.
So you're not P-Train?
I just feel like if I was a professional wrestler at the peak physical condition of these people, I would do everything I could to just show it all off. I wouldn't hinder it with no hair, I'd just be smooth sailing. Well, I keep the beard, obviously, branding purposes, but
of course,
you know.
I mean, the back hair, that's branding too, right?
Yes, there comes old back hair Pluggo. He's going for a finishing move. Don't get caught in the back hairs.
Put that on a t-shirt, baby. I love it.
But no, the A-Train, man, he never quite could take off from the station, so to speak. But this was as close. This was as close as he got. Right. This was almost like his WrestleMania moment where it's like, if you could beat Benoit, this puts you in a pretty good position in the eyes of the company in 2003. And the match was fine. He just didn't get it done.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Like, the context of the time too, I think, because A-Train's here, he's a big monster. And this whole match, he feels like a monster. Like, Benoit can't get his Germans off or his crossface in. A-Train's got him scouted. He's bleeding, like, internally from a gut buster that A-Train gave him. Like, it was hard to even, like, take him off his feet, to the point where, like, you know, the crowd reacted pretty huge once he did finally fall to his back. But there's also a time period where, look, Brock Lesnar is the champion. You got the Big Show. You got Taker. You got guys like that are about to come in, like Nathan Jones and Matt Morgan. There's a lot of big, meaty guys on the roster. So, like, you have to do something to stand out, I think, from the pack. And he tried with the back hair, but I think he needed a little more than that. I don't think he could really connect on the mic ever, unfortunately.
I just would love to him in that office being like, so how are you going to differentiate yourself from all these other guys? Back hair. And Vince is like, you son of a bitch.
God damn it, I love it.
God damn it.
Never shave.
But no, maybe Benoit was bleeding. Maybe he was trying to mist. I don't know.
That's a very good. What is red mist
failed
again?
Mist attempt?
I think that was the burning, right? Yeah.
Failed mist. I don't know if you can have more than one mist on a show or it takes away from the other misting. I don't know.
I don't think duplication was a problem because it seemed like every goddamn match on this card had somebody winning with a foreign object. So
yes, this was very nefarious means.
I guess it's maybe the only one. But yeah, like I said, most of it, it's like this match felt like 95% A-Train just kicking the shit out of Benoit. Benoit, because like I said, A-Train has him scouted, has the crossface scouted. So Benoit has to bust out the sharpshooter, which I don't know if he had ever used prior to this. If he had, it was very rare. But he does like a schoolboy into the sharpshooter, which looked pretty nice. And A-Train eventually taps out. By the way, this is also a few days after Stu Hart passed away. So maybe that was just an homage to him.
Maybe.
But yeah, it was an interesting finish. Benoit comes out the winner, but A-Train looks like a monster. So I thought it was solid.
It's one of those win-wins, kind of like winning a loss for A-Train, if you will. But yeah.
Yeah. What's speaking of big guys, what are your thoughts on Heidenreich, or do you recall anything about Heidenreich?
Oh my gosh, I'm blanking now.
He was the guy, if you're not familiar, he was the guy that was choking Shannon Moore backstage after that match. He had him like up.
Oh yeah. I don't have very many deep thoughts on him.
Nobody does. Because
it actually, now that you mentioned it, because I watched part of this on Monday and finished the rest of it today. I was like, who is that guy?
It was very like, if you didn't know who this guy was, you
Yeah.
probably would shove it off. But it was very, because I don't remember this version, because Heidenreich, like in a year from now, would have a feud with The Undertaker. They had a casket match at Royal Rumble, and then he kind of faded away and eventually teamed with Road Warrior Animal, and they became tag team champions. He also may or may not have sexually assaulted Michael Cole. Very, esteemed career.
That guy.
Yeah, I love how to match with the Undertaker. No championship. No,
exactly.
Cornholing Michael Cole. That's where. That's in the memory bank.
If that says anything about me, you said all those things, and I was like, nope, don't remember that. Nope. Oh, that image. That's. Could we take a second and appreciate though Michael Cole? He was killing it. He was on fire on commentary on this. By the way, I was like, damn, Cole, you still had it 20 years ago too.
Him and Taz, it's like maybe my favorite pair. That's
a good shout. It was very good. I was loving it. Taz now by him, not so much, but
Well, how dare you? You got heat with Taz? You into orange? Is that why?
No. I just not so. He's not as good as he used to be.
But I digress.
Well, he has his moments of fun.
No,
but he definitely needs those other guys to get him through sometime. I don't know if you could do Taz as a 2-man booth anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Taz, if you're watching, I'm sorry, man. It's 21 years ago.
You're going to get a DM from him right after this.
I'm not as good as I was 21 years ago.
You're not, is it Tim McGraw? No. Toby Keith?
No.
What's the country song?
I'm
not as good as I once was.
38. I'm old.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not as good as I once was, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, dude.
But I mentioned Heidenreich because he's here choking Shannon Moore, who is Matt Hardy's little sidekick. It's just like a whole weird thing that doesn't even matter. Like Heidenreich showed up on Raw. He gave Stone Cold a tape to bring to the office, and then he gave one to Matt Hardy. Then Matt Hardy threw it away. I don't even know if this materializes into anything. I just thought it was very interesting to see him like a year before he would actually debut. Maybe he had some kinks to work out in the ring, perhaps.
And it's not like Matt Hardy needed any help at his match in this card. He seemed to have it pretty under control.
There's a one-legged and ass-kicking contest joke in there somewhere, but
yeah.
But yeah, V1 is here in this next one. We got all Matt Hardy taking on Zach Gowen. What are your thoughts on the Gow?
It was he was fine. It was always like you felt terrible for him every time he was on screen. You're like, I hope he gets a big win here, but it just, he always got his ass kicked because he's one-legged in a wrestling ring with Brock Lesnar or Matt Hardy. It's like, and in this particular match, it was just, I was just like, oh man, I had forgotten all about this too.
Yeah, it was
like, what do you do? What do you expect? He's got one leg, and I'm not knocking people with one leg. They can do a lot of things.
Fuck them. Like, if you're an amputee, you can go fuck yourself. Anyways, thoughts?
Whoa, where's that? This is for entertainment purposes. So
I'm paraphrasing your thoughts. That wasn't my opinion.
My thoughts were he's gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy, poor Zach Gowen.
I will say though, it's damn impressive what he can do with one leg. I mean, the spinning kicks, he does a planche over the top rope, but that moonsault he did to win the match, which by the way, he wins this match, just crazy. But the moonsault was one of the prettiest moonsaults I've ever seen.
Because honestly, fuck Matt Hardy.
That's a good point. That's actually a good point when you put it that way.
Amputees rule over Matt Hardy all day, every day.
That's the headline. That's the headline of this.
Amputees over Matt Hardy all day. I'm going to get all the hate in the world.
Even version 1 Matt Hardy, huh?
Yeah.
You weren't a fan
I
of
was
the
never
V1
really a big Matt Hardy guy. I just never was. I still not.
I will say this is probably the best version of him. Either this or the broken version, like at first.
When he was like eating ears on TNA.
Right. That's all I want in wrestling. Like I don't ask for much.
Gnawing on people.
But
yeah, dude. He's got I think he's got a losing record to a one-legged man. I bet that sticks with him. I bet he thinks about it to this day when he's at dinner with Reba Rebel. What's her name?
87 kids, yeah.
And his 87 kids going, God damn it, Vince really screwed me there.
What was the so Zach Gowen? I mean, that's pretty much the match. But he comes out with a shirt with one sleeve cut off. Do you think that's like for symmetry, for balance?
Maybe.
You know, is there a physical? You know,
I just love the idea of him putting on a shirt with two sleeves and falling over and going, "This doesn't work for me," and just going like, "Oh wait, oh okay, cut this sleeve off and I've got it and I'll be fine."
Good.
Like he couldn't hit that moonsault without the sleeve off. It was definitely a choice. Have you ever rocked a shirt with one sleeve?
You know what? I don't. Not on purpose.
So Zach Gowen is either an innovator or crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe we're the problem. Maybe we have too many sleeves on.
Us two-legged folk. Yeah, we're definitely the issue.
Too many sleeves.
Ableist. I hate
What
it.
would he be? He'd be an attract. He still wrestles every once in a great while. I imagine he still gets a spot here or there. I think I saw him in a battle royal of some type not too long ago. So he's still making money from that. Good on him. Like, all jokes aside, keep cashing them checks, my guy.
A battle royal. So this actually, a battle royal. You get eliminated by getting thrown over the top rope and having both feet touch the floor.
So he's never out.
He's never been eliminated from any battle royal. I don't think.
No.
It's a bit of
not at all.
bit of an unfair advantage, I would say.
I could have swore he was on AEW or something. I could have swore.
He made an appearance in TNA back in the day.
Ah, there you go.
Doesn't seem like he's done much since like in the past 10 years at least.
So then what am I thinking about?
Another one-legged.
Is there another one?
There was a guy that had no legs on AEW. He was like in a battle royal. He was
that guy's dope, dude. That guy's good though.
No,
I don't know his name, but I remember being like, that's actually quite impressive. I can't do things with two legs, let alone what he's doing.
It's gonna drive me crazy. What was his name? No legs. Zion Clark. I guess maybe I never knew his name. That doesn't sound familiar. Interesting. We'll see what Zion does in the future. Maybe he'll come back. Him versus Zach Gowen. Dream match. Book it, somebody. Book it, TK.
SummerSlam, let's book that. All in. Wembley.
All in. Well,
done.
Half in at most. But we go backstage to Vince's office.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting ready for his match. He's putting up his boots. And then we see two legs step into frame. It's just waist down. When you were watching this, who did you think this was based off the legs? I'm curious.
Now, again, I couldn't remember most of the storyline and how we got there. And I was like, is this the Trish era?
Right.
Would she was the Finch? So I thought maybe it was her, but then I was like, I don't know. I couldn't quite pinpoint it until, we found out it was Sable.
Well, this was Linda here that came into his office.
This is Linda with the legs? I thought you meant the legs.
No, not the legs. The legs.
Then what am I thinking about? I'm losing my mind. Linda's here.
Another segment that if you blinked, it would have missed it. But it was like two puffy pants legs. Okay. And the reason I asked is because they came into frame. And it looked like just a big dude. Like even the hand. Linda McMahon's got some big hands on her, by the way. I don't know.
I promise I watched the show. I did.
Go back, watch Linda's hands and feet and legs.
It could be Peacock cutting an ad during that.
That could be it. That could be. We don't need this segment.
Yeah, they're like, but yeah, good old Linda McMahon's there,
begging Vince not to go through with this match with their daughter.
Couldn't she just take Stephanie and leave?
You would think she's the CEO. Like I would think that would fall under her abilities.
I know Vince at this point has to say, and the end all be all and say anything. But what's going to stop her from being like, "Hey, Stephanie, let's go get a quick bite to eat before your match," and then just don't come back?
Oh, so you're saying take Stephanie against her will?
I mean, that's how she got married on this program.
That's a good point.
She's very consistent. This entire era of Stephanie McMahon's career was doing things against her will, getting abducted by the ministry, marrying Triple H, fighting her dad.
Right.
And this would have been the one time that people would have been like, you know what, that was a good idea to abduct her for a couple hours.
In hindsight, probably would have been the best. Yeah. But
I'm just thinking out loud here. I would have just been like, we got to go.
Well, if you ever find yourself in that situation, now you know what to do. after watching this. So
if I ever find myself in a situation where my daughter's going to fight the CEO of a wrestling promotion.
yes. Look, it's not a high chance, not a high probability, but it's not zero.
Yeah, that's true. Anything is possible.
That's what they
It's
say.
like, listen, we got to run down to the gas station real quick. You need an energy drink if you're going to fight your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just keep driving.
You need a stack or two. They're toots. But yeah, Linda's, begging Vince not to do it. And Vince is like, you know what? Fine. I'm going to have the match. But even though it's an I quit match, I'll allow Stephanie to win by pinfall if she's able to pin me. But it'll also be no holds barred, which it was already an I quit match. I feel like that falls under the, I don't know.
But then the rules get convoluted.
They sure do.
Because there's rope breaks and all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, we're almost there. But before that, we got a barn burner of a tag team match on our hands here. We got the APA, Bradshaw and Farouk, taking on the Basham brothers. No Shaniqua there, though, at least not in the beginning. A lot going on here, but also nothing going on here. Two teams, no titles on the line. They just don't like each other. Bradshaw gave Shaniqua, who's the, I guess, the dominatrix of the Bashams.
Yeah, they're into the freaky stuff.
They sure are. Bradshaw gave her a clothesline from hell on SmackDown. The next week, the Bashams retaliated by giving them some brutal chair shots. One in particular they replayed, and it just clocked Bradshaw in the face. And yeah, now we're here. Bashams come out to. I didn't think it was possible to get a negative reaction. Like, not bad, not good, just less than zero. Like, nobody gives a shit about the Bashams, and who can blame them? Especially when Shanique was not there with them.
Yeah, they were just like, where's the bathroom again? I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Like,
dude,
I had forgotten that. Again, I'm reliving a lot of things here. I was like, the Basham brothers. Like, oh boy,
they stunk.
That was a tag team. I love the APA though. Farouk and Bradshaw together. That was always some of my favorite segments.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be hanging out backstage, drinking and smoking, and hanging out with Mae Young and stuff. But yeah, little nothing tag team. The right team, won, I guess. I don't know if this ever propelled either one of them to like championship gold. Eventually, but not right away. Like, oh, I got one over here. So remember that No Mercy 03 match we won? Propelled us right into the championship scene.
So you're saying that Bradshaw becoming WWE champion in like 8 months or so is because of this match with Doug and Danny Basham?
Yeah, it was that bad. They were like, we gotta scrap this. JBL, figure something else out. You got a big suit you could wear?
Well, if I remember correctly, I think JBL eventually brought the Bashams into his faction or his cabinet, as it was called. So they would eventually
already owned them at that point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that because they lost this match. The APA did because of that goddamn Shaniqua comes in. Yeah. Bradshaw comes in, a house of fire.
But up until that point, they had control.
Bradshaw was clubbing these fellas. I mean, boom.
It was almost like the Basham brothers were rookies, and he was like, "I'm gonna make an example out of you."
He knew. Ring. Bradshaw had like. It was like he was pissed that nobody cared about this match. He was like throwing, like he was on the apron, the illegal guy. Farouk was in there getting his ass kicked, and he's getting off the apron, throwing the stairs. He's kicking things. He's getting in the ring. Like, I don't know.
He's like, if nobody's going to cheer or boo, I'm just going to rip this dude's head off.
He's going to brute force a reaction of some sort. He's going to try.
Some sort. They're going to be like, remember that throwaway match? I murdered a guy. And people would still be like, it was a Basham brother.
Yeah.
Who's the tag team champions at this point?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Los Guerreros are the tag team champions, Eddie and Chavo. So maybe we get there eventually. I don't know. But
it's like, yeah, it's not like you took out Eddie Guerrero. You took out a Basham, and then you got beat by. What did she use? What was that foreign object? Was that
It was just like a vague black. It was like a club, a nightstick.
Was it like the whip handle, but just no whip on it? That's what it looked like to me.
I don't know, man. You might be more of a aficionado than I am.
A gentleman never tells.
That's fair.
For those listening to the audio version of this, I'm not winking in a very like yes, I do
No.
know about that stuff.
He just took his pants off and showed me his cat of nine tails, so to speak. So Bradshaw hits the clothesline from hell onto one of the Bashams. And then Shaniqua gets in, hits Bradshaw on the back of the head with a club, a black something whip handle. And then the other Basham hits some shitty Rough Rider leg drop type of move onto him and gets the win. The Bashams get the win, baby.
If I was making picks in 2003, I would have took APA all day. And then, of course, looked foolish here.
Hey, do you have any recollection of the segment after this with the Bashams and Shaniqua? You don't? Oh, well, don't worry. I got you.
Oh, mercy.
you've got it.
Especially Bradshaw.
Of course, Bradshaw didn't expect me back. But it's going to take more than a clothesline from hell.
She's
to keep
kind of into
Shaniqua
him,
down.
Bradshaw, that is.
But I will tell you what his clothesline did do.
Oh, yeah.
It did this.
Swollen. They're swollen.
I mean, look at the swelling in my chest.
Oh, they're so
What's the obsession with the stomach?
This won't go down.
I don't know. Well, what else are you going to touch, I guess?
permanent? Is it
Fair.
And the doctor said this may be permanent.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Permanent.
But you boys did very well. And you guys deserve to be rewarded.
Oh, yeah. Rewarded. Rewarded.
So, let's go
Please, mistress.
and whip it good.
Da-na-na-na-na.
Okay, listen. I've never had a dominatrix, so I can't speak to it. But do you high five them afterwards? Is that the...
If anything, she's messing up. Why is she's supposed to dominate them, right? So if they go for the high five, she's supposed to be like, no, you peasants, you don't touch me. I touch you when I tell you, da-da-da. Right? Is that how it works?
I guess.
It
I mean, you seem to be very confident.
Maybe they're progressive and they're just like, we're both going to dominate each other. I'm going to let you have a turn. Then I'm going to take a turn. Let's throw a safe word out there so we're both in the know.
Right.
When I yell pineapple, switch over to the other brother. Are they actually brothers? Because then that would be a little weird too. But hey, I don't kink shame. It's at this point, it's 2003. But to each their own. As long as it's legal and consensual, do you?
I mean, the audio alone of that is just if somebody hears you watching this, they're like, "Are you watching some gay pornography?" And I don't know, but
hey, wrestling was thirsty in 03. It's thirsty now, but I always have to be like, I swear, Mrs. Pluggo, it's wrestling. This is wrestling. I've watched some old pay-per-views around her, and she's like, "What the fuck?" And I go, "It was 2002. What do you want from me? I don't know."
Well,
Judy Bagwell's on that pole. That's what it is.
Pro wrestling, man. I don't know why we watch it, but we do.
Because it's the best thing ever. Even when it's bad, you're like, you can find something good in it.
Well, look, there's some sports-centric pieces of it. For example, the main event of this show, which we'll get to in a little bit, Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker for the WWE title in a biker chain match. And Taz and Michael Cole have some, what do they call it here? The keys to victory. Yeah, tails of the tape, kind of. So in this graphic, they say that Undertaker, to win the chain match, needs to throw hands, use his veteran instincts, and get the chain, which I think is kind of...
No.
And then Brock Lesnar needs to be a grappler, needs to control his anger, which I feel like... No,
why? You're in a chain match, dude. You need to have that anger out and ready to go.
And then also to get the chain, like I think both of them have get the chain. I feel like it's just understood. I don't know if they need to make a.
Did the analytics team back in the 2003 not have a third thing? Like I think that's very well stated. It's a biker chain match, so the person who gets the chain is going to have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm.
You can't come up with use that tombstone pile driver that you're F5 him.
That's good.
They did throw the tail of the tapes out a couple of times throughout the night, and I do miss that. I like that.
It feels like they only bring that out when it's like two big guys. Like, oh, look how much girth is in this ring. Oh, goddamn.
They're not like, here's 5'1" Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Sounds like Finn
His
Balor
reach
versus
is
Santos
36.
Escobar.
Yeah, the 36-inch reach. Woo. He's got that impressive 4-foot wingspan.
Well, there was no tail of the tape for this next match. We got the first ever father versus daughter, no holds barred, I quit match. Stephanie McMahon with Linda McMahon versus Vince McMahon with his mistress Sable.
Yeah.
Where to begin? So we've been talking about it a lot. It's really the story here is that Vince doesn't like the job Stephanie is doing as the GM of SmackDown. He's trying to get her to quit, and because he can't just fire her, he needs to strike down the defiance. He needs to prove a point. So they're gonna have a wrestling match, and she's gonna quit in the middle of that goddamn ring.
How bad of a job did he perceive that she was doing? That she's like, I can't just ask her to step down. I have to try to murder her for 30 minutes.
And that's nothing on TV really there's no foundation to this that makes sense. Like Stephanie and Vince weren't really at odds, really. No. I guess Brock and Vince were close. Stephanie and Vince kind of butted heads a little bit, but otherwise there was no it just came out of nowhere. Beefing
with Bischoff more than anything.
Yeah,
throughout this, and it's not like if my daughter doesn't do the dishes, I'm like, I'm out of options, honey.
Here's a outside
wrestling ring. Let's go. Because there's the only way I can assert my dominance as the owner of this company over my daughter is to just whoop her ass. It's the weirdest premise I've ever seen, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of weird premises.
That's just the tip of the iceberg too, because you have the Sable element. So Vince and Linda are allegedly still married at this point, and Vince is just willy-nilly just has Sable on his lap, and he's making out with her in front of Linda. Linda seems unbothered by it. There's a lot going on here.
Linda strikes me as a strong, independent woman. You think she wouldn't just slap the shit out of that man? I mean, I guess if he's willing to, have a no holds barred I quit match with his daughter.
Right. What is he going to do to her?
Yeah. Hell in the cell.
Right. One day.
You and I, Linda, we're going to settle this hell in a cell.
Hell in a cell. Michael Cole.
I did like the caveat. I mean, if you're going to talk about it in story, I did like the little segment that he had was that Josh Matthews.
Yes.
Like anybody comes out there fired, and Matthews is scared shitless, and he's like, "Are you gonna say thank you?" And he's like, "Thank you, Vince."
Thank you, sir.
Like, oh, okay, thank you, sir. But yeah, that's the match was not a 5-star classic by any stretch either. By the way,
I'll tell you what, though, it's better than it had any right being.
That's true. I was gonna, you're right. I was like, oh, this isn't terrible, but yeah. I was like, oh, this isn't a 5-star banger that we got earlier, Okay.
Not quite.
But she gets the pipe early. She starts wailing on him. Michael Cole, by the way, is unhinged. Unhinged for a man that is sitting 20 feet from a guy that has your career in the palm of his hand. You were saying some out-of-pocket stuff regardless of what was transpiring in that ring. I'd have been like, I need this job. I got bills. That's their problem. I know it doesn't make for great commentary, but I'm trying not to get fired in front of 10,000 people.
But he just straight up calls Sable a bitch when she's coming out, which felt so like
37 years of marriage. This bitch is ruining everything, and I'm like, Cole, calm down. Dude.
I'm with her. Look, it's very uncomfortable to watch this match. I mean,
super
Vince
bad.
Right off the bat. Vince with a Pearl Harbor job attacks Stephanie from behind, throws her in the corner, throwing shoulders and knees into the gut. It's like, oh, this is real. And you got Sable on the outside who slaps Stephanie just to add on to it. Vince throws on a half crab. Like he's throwing out wrestling moves to try to get her to quit. Linda's reaching for her like, oh, please, honey, you don't need to do it. Like, it is just.
And Linda's jawing with Sable. And nobody thinks Sable's the Becky Lynch of wrestling or anything at that time. But if I'm Linda, I'm like, I'm not mixing it up with you. Sable could kick my ass.
I don't know, man. Because look, Stephanie first of all starts fighting back. Rakes Vince's eyes, and then
Cheated.
Sable sees this cheating, says, "I need to even the odds." Pulls out a pipe. And this is when Linda comes over and she rips Sable off the apron.
I'm so proud of you for saying that with a straight face. She raked the eyes, so in order to make it exactly one of one even, Sable whips out a pipe.
Look, we talked about the 17 arm bars in the opening match to balance it out. This is really just a big math equation, this show. So we gotta lay it out. And Linda's beating the shit out of Sable. Vince grabs Linda by the hair. Linda slaps Vince. Stephanie with a pipe. Low blow with the pipe. Roll up. 1, 2. Kick out. Like there's some heated near falls here. That
one low blow where she let go of the pipe because she did it such force. On the second one, it's 2003. Then what we know now, I was like, "Fuck yeah!"
Oh, but yeah, no, that's
get his ass.
Point.
Yeah, yep. I was like, that's right. You get him, Stephanie.
The way the pipe, she let go of one side of the pipe, like you said. It's like the other end just almost went up Vince's ass, which I was all for. Big fan of that. She
almost got him on the one upswing, almost caught him in the face.
I mean, you got to lay it in. You got to lay it. This is
Stephanie did this for a chance. Honey. You know I love you. This is an entertainment show.
Right.
But we got to make it look real.
Stephanie with some more pipe shots, one from the second rope, pin. Vince gets the ropes to break up the pin, which is like,
that's what it was, like, no holds barred, no DQ, I quit match, and you're rope breaking.
Well,
but again, that referee is like, hey, I have kids.
It is Nick Patrick, I think that's the ref, so that also plays into. He's a bit of a shady character, so
that's true.
But Vince goes for a body slam on a Stephanie count. I love it, just talking about the match as if it's like Ospreay versus Okada or something. Stephanie counters the body slam, shoves Vince into Sable, who was on the apron, sends her flying. Stephanie hits a bulldog onto
pretty good looking bulldog too, by the way. I was like,
not bad. Another really close 2 count. But Vince eventually grabs the pipe again, hits his daughter in the ribs with it, and chokes his daughter with the pipe. And Linda eventually has to throw in the towel because Stephanie's not going to quit. So her mom has to stop her husband from killing his daughter. Thoughts?
Thanksgiving dinner at that household had to have been wild.
Dude, it's
like how even in like it's kayfabe, like, man, we really went there. But I did enjoy. I liked the shot they got. They got a really cool shot of like Stephanie kind of waking up from all of it and going, "You threw in the towel?" Like she was surprised, and Linda's like, "You were about to be murdered.
Yeah,
you turned purple. People have to be able to breathe, Stephanie, and you were not." And she's just like, "Mom, I had him." No,
parents just don't understand.
Yeah, no, you didn't. You've lived to fight another day, Stephanie. It was tough. It was a tough watch in this day and age. But like I said, back then in 2003, you're probably like, "Oh man, this is crazy. I can't believe they're doing this. Is wild. All right,
kick her ass, Vince."
Yeah, yeah. She sucks at GM of SmackDown. She's terrible. The only equivalent I can think of today would be if The Rock decided to come back like, "Ava, you suck on NXT. You and me, 1-on-1. Let's go."
I like that. I like that a lot. Let's get that going. Rock versus Ava on NXT.
He's just like, "Listen," and I told her we were going to do a match. Yeah, it was just, and then it was just, he was all sweaty and gross, and he's kissing Sable, and Cole's losing his mind. And the other thing that I go back to Taz, he's concerned about all of the people on SmackDown now that Stephanie's no longer the GM, yet he also, in the same vein, said nothing really changes. Vince is still in charge, but what are we going to do about the referees and the ring crew now that Stephanie's gone? He's trying to sell that like the GM spot is the linchpin to keep everything in working order. Like he's not going to get a paycheck come Friday or Thursday at this time, right? Yeah, they were on Thursdays.
Yeah. On UPN. Yeah, who knows,
UPN, man. Followed by Shasta McNasty.
Want some domestic abuse? Then get some Martin. What a time. What a time. Do you remember who the GM that filled in her spot was?
No. That's why I thought was this the time that Bischoff had come in. Was I a little late or early?
So Bischoff was Raw.
Yeah,
Stephanie
he was Raw because they
SmackDown.
were feuding, but I didn't know if maybe he had come in and they did this after the fact. I don't remember who took over for him.
I believe, I could be wrong. I believe it's Paul Heyman that comes in after her because he's not really doing anything at this point. And I know he's definitely the GM like around Rumble time because I know him and Benoit were kind of feuding a little bit and
then
approaching.
he had always said that like he took over and they got Ray and Eddie and Benoit and Jericho, so they had like this, and they were beating Braun the ratings a lot. So yeah, around that time that makes sense.
Yep, I think that's coming.
What a time to be alive.
It was, God, yeah. By the way, after the match, as if that's not enough, Vince, like you said, makes out with Sable. Pie faces Linda, shoves her to the ground.
Yeah, he's a real piece of shit.
It's like, what's the end game to this? Like, what?
If you're Linda, why do you stay? Kayfabe or not? Like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm gonna stand by my man.
It's a business arrangement, man.
We don't get divorced in the McMahon family. It's like nobody would feel like you did something wrong if you just did.
I think you're justified, just a little bit.
Yeah, I think he threw you on the ground. He pie faced you. He's making out with.
There's video evidence.
Stable. Yeah, he's whooping your daughter. He beat on Shane. I mean, the dude's just not all around a good guy in the kayfabe world that is WWE.
Hot take from Pluggo that Vince McMahon is not a great guy.
Just not a great guy. Like, there's plenty of evidence. Linda, I'm here for you.
Listen, Linda. Well, we got a couple of good guys. So here's the balancing act. So we got all that tomfoolery. Now we shift over to some wrestling. We got Kurt Angle versus John Cena. Man, this might be match of the night. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I thought it was pretty good. I was thinking like, oh man. And then of course it's the doctor of thugonomics Cena. So my brain has been conditioned over the last 20 years to not remember that.
Right. You don't like it? You don't like rapping Cena?
It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that you forget he was kind of a heel then.
He was definitely a heel.
He was definitely a heel. Everybody's like, he's never been a heel his whole career. I'm like, that's heel shit he's doing over there.
Yeah.
But an Angle and him, I think, have really good chemistry. I don't think that's any shock. Like you said, match of the night. I think I couldn't complain at all. I really enjoyed it. It was this is right before Cena started to really blow up and start really racking up some championships too. So it was kind of I don't want to say passing of the guard because the Angle left pretty shortly after that to do some TNA work.
Yeah, probably like 2 years after this, so not too far away.
Yeah, not too far away, but it's almost like here's our next guy. Let's have him put in a banger with Angle. He loses to Angle,
right? But he comes out looking.
But he comes out looking great. Yeah, it's like because even then, they were still kind of like, hey, "Is this Cena guy? We'll find out." Rapping all the time. I did like the video package though beforehand. I forgot about all the Kurt's rapping and stuff.
Rap battles between these two.
Oh, dude, so good.
Kurt coming out with like the Jaguars jersey and the sideways. He's a comical genius. This Curtis Angle.
I think people sleep on just how comedically funny that guy is. I know that it's weird to say because it's Kurt Angle, but like I think when you think about comedy wrestling, you don't think Kurt Angle because you think great wrestler, upper echelon, but he could nail the comedy side of it just about as good as anybody.
I mean, he's the most complete wrestler I think there ever was, honestly.
That's not a hot take. That's a very strong limb you're going out on there.
Yeah.
Don't fall.
I'll try to. But yeah, you bring up Cena and his like, this is kind of like his jumping off point. His run of pay-per-views before this. So he had, because he's still very new. He's like within his first year, I think.
Yeah.
He had a match with Brock at Backlash. He had a match with Undertaker at Vengeance. And now he has a match with Kurt Angle. He lost all of those matches, but the fact that he got programs with all these guys as new as he is and looked great in these matches. I mean, I think this was like the final test. And you're right. Like after this,
not even look great in the matches themselves. Held their own in the stories building up to all those matches. He was toe to toe on the mic with Angle.
He brought out a different side of Angle, like that comedic, like the rapping. Like you hadn't seen that from Angle.
Yeah, and then it just was off to the races for old John Cena, that young upstart back then, who's now retiring.
glad you brought that up because we'll talk about the match here in a second. But when he eventually goes into the Hall of Fame, I think Kurt Angle is actually a very good candidate to induct him. Thoughts?
That'd be a cool full circle where he comes out, Ruthless Aggression has that match with Angle. Angle puts him in the Hall of Fame because because we saw it then, like when he had that match, we're like, oh shit, he took Angle to the limit. That would be really cool. I think they could work that out. Who else could you think? Who else would it be? If we're being, I'm sure The Rock maybe
could be. You could do like Michael Cole. I think would be a good candidate because he pretty much commentated his whole career, and he's kind of like the Jim Ross, Stone Cold, like that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, I like Angle. I think that'd be a fun I'm your starting off point, and now I'm inducting you into the Hall of Fame. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, definitely the mile marker for Cena because, like you said, it was Cena's first match. We have now John's probably his biggest match at this point of his career. And then would go on to, they would feud on and off for a while.
Thugonomics. Word life.
Crowd loves the Cena, though. Crowd loves the Doctor. Got because Kurt's, a strong baby face here. Cena's the heel, but there's still dueling chants, which you didn't really hear that often back in these days. There was a let's go Cena, let's go Angle back and forth, which was cool. It was a cool atmosphere for this match. So you could definitely get the sense that Cena's starting to gain fire under him a little bit.
Which I noticed these dueling chants were let's go Cena, let's go Angle, and then eventually they just evolved into let's go Cena, Cena sucks.
Right. yeah.
No matter who he was wrestling. So
right.
Kudos to Kurt Angle for getting in on some of the chant. Some people still put back in him.
Yeah, man.
Because it just became you're either rooting for Cena or you're rooting against Cena. It didn't matter who he was facing.
But fans aren't tired of him yet. Not quite yet. Kurt dominates a lot of the beginning of this match with, the pure wrestling aspect. And even when it comes to striking, Angle's is kind of dominating him until Kurt posts himself in the corner. And then Cena hits some moves in this match on Kurt Angle, who has a sketchy neck. And there's some spots here, like the DDT on the apron.
Yeah.
The buckle bomb, which caught me off guard. A John Cena buckle bomb in 2003. What?
Yeah. Angle was the original Daniel Bryan in the sense that you cringed whenever some neck or head things happened after. Yeah, you're just like, oh, John, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's
don't ruin Kurt Angle's career. He won't induct you into the Hall of Fame
right.
if you break his neck. If you break his neck in this match.
But Kurt survived somehow. Even if Cena hits the FU for a 2 count, Kurt comes back with the Angle slam for a 2 count, and then Cena grabs his chain that he came out wearing around his neck, goes to hit Kurt with the chain, but Kurt gets out of the way. Or the ref takes the chain, sends it out of the ring. But while the ref is distracted, Cena grabs Kurt's medals, wraps it around his fist, and knocks Kurt out with the medals, but only gets a 2 count.
Disrespectful.
I mean, that's just sacrilege. And in my America, geez Louise.
I liked Michael Cole during all this going, John Cena brought out a padlock because he's a street tough that doesn't care about anybody. And Kurt Angle's bringing out gold medals that are on different
right. They made it a point because Kurt took his medals off in the beginning of the match, put it in the corner, and Cena took his chain off. It was like, oh, the two.
They used to call them foreign objects back then. The 2 foreign objects, they're like, yep, they're coming into play here.
Right.
We don't spend TV time showing you this stuff if we're not going to use it, which is stuff I didn't learn when I was younger until I started being in this business as long as I have. Now I'm like, they don't do that on purpose. Oh.
No. Very, very pointed.
That's street tough, John Cena.
Well, at the end of the day, the wrestling outdoes the street toughness because Cena goes for the FU again, but Kurt just smoothly counters into a victory roll right into the ankle lock.
Mm-hmm.
Cena taps out, which may or may not be the only time Cena's ever tapped out. I would have to look at the tape.
Count doesn't happen very often.
But yeah, Kurt wins, but again, just a great match, probably match of the night. Cena looks great. Fun stuff.
Super smooth, by the way. Kurt Angle's you haven't seen anybody so smooth, that ankle lock roll, so he can just put it on you at any time. Maybe Gable's getting there now, but it's so good. Such a good match. You needed that after what Here's the thing: they could have put any match in that spot, and it probably would have been rave reviews. But they knew they were like, we can't put Tajiri and Ray after the daughter daddy beatdown session.
Yeah.
We got to go with something that's going to make you forget what just happened.
Yeah, I think it would accomplish. Well, I don't know if
the Angle and Cena, perfect.
It worked. It worked. But let me tell you, or let me ask you this: what do you remember of this Eddie Guerrero and Big Show feud?
Not a ton.
Well,
This was another one where, like, I'm watching it and I go, "Oh yeah, I guess they did fight each other."
This was not well. The match was fine.
You gotta understand, back in 03, I'm still kind of in high school, and I still pay attention to wrestling, but I'm in high school and I'm doing high school things, I guess. So this is like, just being a reckless little me, just going
getting whipped, getting tied up. I know. Yeah. I hear you.
Hanging out with Shaniqua,
right?
Rubbing her belly, like, hey.
No kink shaming here.
No, but it's still like, he's like, hey, why do you got to be weird about it, Basham? Come on. Anyway.
Oh, well, you got to rub. Wait, just not rubber? I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, I just, some of this stuff I was like, oh yeah, that did happen. And I was like, oh, Big Show. Eddie, it's nice to see.
So Eddie is currently the United States champion. And this match is for the U.S. title. He's also the tag team champion with his nephew Chavo. And on SmackDown a few weeks before this, Big Show was basically dissing the culture, the Mexican culture. He was making fun of, I like tacos, burrito, like he was doing the whole thing.
Of course.
Eddie, of course, is disrespected. So what does he do? Eddie conducts this elaborate plot. He delivers a burrito to the Big Show, which, of course, Big Show, was he going to get a random burrito and not eat it?
You got a burrito in front of me. I'm like, all right, thank you.
Big Show, maybe not, because Big Show eats the burrito, but Eddie laced it with something that made Big Show shit his pants. So, because Big Show was in a match after eating this burrito, he had to lose by count out because he had to go poopy. So he went to the bathroom.
We've all been there.
Cameras caught up with him in the bathroom. His feet are up in the air in the stall. There's the cartoony fart noises going on. And he's like, listen, Holmes, that was my burrito. That was my cousin Joey. And so Big Show's pissed. He attacks Eddie the week after, but then Eddie comes back with a sewage truck, sprays Big Show with sewage, and then Big Show comes back and power bombs Eddie on his lowrider, and now
it's
Eddie
all
comes out.
Back to me now.
Eddie has this cut up back. He's got tape on his back. He's got cuts and all that because it's from getting power bombed onto a glass windshield. And now we're here.
That poor cameraman.
Yeah, something, man. But I don't know.
Do you get hazard pay for having to record the Big Show in the toilet?
I think only if you get some E. coli or maybe you slip on it, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to look at the rule book here.
If anybody's in that profession, let me know. Where's the hazard pay come from?
If anybody's been in that exact scenario, let me know.
If you're the cameraman that happened to film that situation, please reach out to Kyle or myself.
We want to hear from you.
DMs are open. Yes.
But,
we want a deep dive.
You got Eddie versus Show here. Obviously, the obvious size disparity. I was skeptical on how this match would go. No, I'm here. What were your thoughts on the match itself, I guess?
Well, again, this is 2003, so Big Show's moving a little bit better than he does nowadays. So, he was a little bit bigger back then, though, but he could still go a little bit. It was your classic big man, little man match. For, beat on Eddie. He's got the tape, so there's a reason. Eddie still could go, man. Eddie's so good, dude. I miss Eddie Guerrero so much.
Every time I watch him, I'm like, I miss him so much.
He's so damn good. But it was a fine match. It wasn't Cena and Angle, but
right.
Not many matches are.
Very story driven, this one. Yeah, Big Show's he slaps the back of Eddie, which remember he's got all the cuts on his back, so it's like, oh jeez. But Eddie has to pull out all the stops here. The lie, cheat, and steals in full effect. Eddie throws a chair in the ring to distract the ref. Eddie grabs the trash can lid, whacks Big Show with it. And then he's using brass knuckles. He's using the title belt. He's doing all of this. He hits the frog splash. Nothing's able to take out the Big Show. But Show's able to hit a choke slam. Well, he hits one choke slam, but Eddie gets to the ropes to break it up. But then Eddie, he tries to fight back. He low blows the Big Show. He DDTs him, but eventually Show catches him with a second choke slam, gets the win, and we got a new U.S. champion.
Brings the gold back home.
The title looks silly on his shoulder, does it not?
It does.
So tiny.
A lot of titles look silly on Big Show because they were tiny, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was able to avenge the laced burrito to bring the United States Championship home.
So this was a happy ending, the way you saw it.
Yeah, yeah. Did you not see it that way? You see this is a sad, disappointing ending? I'm looking at it from rose-colored glasses here.
Yeah.
If you spray me with the sewage truck...
Yeah, that's fair, actually, now that you put it that way.
You're the heel. I don't care what I do. You're that. Come on now. You're the bad guy, Eddie. I brought the title home.
Not a bad point.
He probably still smelled like sewage in that match. That stuff probably does not come off easily.
To this day, probably. You go up to Paul White, you're like, I think that's a little bit of...
You ever seen mall rats? You stink palm a guy. That stench is on his hands for a few days. And he's, people are wondering why.
You know what?
Like
fuck Eddie Guerrero. Now that I'm thinking about it. You know what?
I'm just coming out looking like $1 million today. That Pluggo said, fuck Eddie Guerrero. Do we have context for that? No, we don't. We lost the tape. Just that one little sliver.
Interesting how that happens.
Oh. You know what? That's okay.
Chavo probably feels the same way, though, because Eddie shoved him after the match, because Chavo was trying to console Eddie. Then Eddie's like, listen, Loams. He shoves him.
Because he's still mad that was his burrito.
That's the problem here. The burrito was for Chavo. Big Show ate it.
There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of... Look, we have a new United States champion. Smells like shit.
That really is. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
He got the job done.
Well, you know what else smells like shit? This main event. We got the WWE title on the line. It's a biker chain match, not a chain match. A biker chain match. Brock Lesnar, the champion, defending against The Undertaker. So this is a year after No Mercy 02, where Brock and Undertaker had a Hell in a Cell match. That's one of my personal favorites. It was a great match. Now they're here. The dynamic hasn't changed that much. So my thought here was like, oh, it's like last year, but not as good. Like, that's all I can really think about. The stipulation here is dumb. I don't know. What did you think about how this gimmick played out?
I guess I'll take, since I'm already batting 1,000 with hot takes, Biker Taker, not for me.
Really? What is your?
But that is the fun thing about wrestling, though. He could be a supernatural dead man for his entire career, but for just like a couple of years, he's like, I ride bikes now. I'm a badass. Well,
can a zombie not ride bikes?
But he wasn't a zombie.
Was he not? Is a dead man and a zombie different?
Like maybe, I don't know. Maybe I thought Dead Man was just a cool moniker for him.
You can't just become undead. Well, wait.
Yeah.
Zombie is undead, so maybe he's not dead. Is there a difference between undead and dead? That's the question.
I would say so.
Yeah, I guess
zombies can move. They just don't have any brains, but they're just walking around eating people.
He's not undead man.
Dead people just don't bother nobody. They just chill in their respective dead spots that they live in, and they don't bother me. I don't run from dead people. I run from a zombie. But no, Biker Taker, whatever. But the biker chain match, like, what are we doing here? What do you mean? What do you mean? Is that the only thing you can use? No. Is it just technically really a no disqualification match? This was the era that they were just like throw names on things to give, because you can't just say no DQ, because even back then we'd be like, you guys are using the no DQ gimmick too much. So they're like, call it a biker chain match, but everything else is still okay. Am I wrong? Shouldn't that just be what you're only allowed to use as biker chains? If you pull out a table or you pull out a chair, you should be disqualified. because you're messing with
Dude.
the graphics department that made this beautiful moniker that says biker chain match, and you're wailing him with a chair.
Show me fucking crazy. So you're right. You're absolutely right. I agree 100%. It's a biker chain match. So for anybody listening unfamiliar with this match, this is not a match where they're attached with a chain, which would have made more sense.
Yeah, that would have been a good idea.
Not a strap match, not a dog collar match. There is a chain hanging from an unnecessarily tall pole in the corner.
And neither one of these guys are known for climbing ropes a lot.
No.
Taker does the old school. Brock Lesnar tries to do shooting star presses. That's about it.
And yeah, like the chain is so high, only Undertaker can reach it. I mean, Brock tried to like shimmy up the pole to grab it, but
which was a beautiful sight, by the way. Watching him.
I'm never going to say no to that. Watching Brock Lesnar and his moist body shimmy up a pole. But yes,
now who's making headlines?
No, we'll cut that out. But
damn it.
So yes, they're building this up as if you grab the chain, you can use it as a weapon. They say that, but like anybody can use the chain once it's down. So what's the incentive to be the one to pull it down? I think it would have made more sense. It would have been something if maybe only the guy that pulled it down was able to use it, but that wasn't the case. Not to mention, Brock Lesnar's throwing in steps in the ring. We got steel chairs. Like, it's just, you can use any other weapon. So
you forgot that Vince used all his resources and creative to do the daddy-daughter beatdown match. And was just like, you guys do whatever you want.
And I was like, there wasn't even much of a story going on here.
No.
Like I said, we already saw this a year ago at the same event to a better extent. This was, to me, and not to spoil the ending, but it's really just an avenue to get to Undertaker versus Vince. The match itself, it just drove me crazy because it's like, why not just bring your own chain out to the ring? Because with the logic of this match, that's legal.
Yeah. Who's stopping you from having that in your pocket?
Or literally bring a gun to the ring. I don't know. Why do we need to
climb? And at that point, you don't need the chain to even win, really. You could just, like I said, pull out a chair, wail on him, win. Chain stays up there.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it was just a way to get Brock Lesnar and Undertaker on what, if we're being completely honest, is not exactly a very loaded card.
Yeah.
They're like, we need something because we got Cena and Angle and the Vince Stephanie thing, but like, we need something. So give me Brock and give me Taker.
You don't think the Bashams are driving the buy rates?
I mean, they were driving my buy rates back in the day, you know.
If you know what I'm saying.
Just mine, you know. I don't know about anybody else, but no, I don't think they were. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I don't think anybody bought No Mercy 2003 for the Basham brothers, except maybe their mother, but that was only because she was so disgusted with their fetish life that she was like, let's see how these kids are going to embarrass me on TV today.
You better hope Shaniqua doesn't catch wind of this because she is going to punish you. But maybe that's what you want. I don't know. I'm not going to ask any questions.
Maybe I'm angling for. Maybe I've been a bad boy, Shaniqua. I don't know. It's your call. You tell me how I'm supposed to act. That's how you're supposed to do it. You tell me what to
bad
do.
Boy.
I'll just sit here and be lazy and take the beating because I feel like maybe I've never been in the situation, but again, I feel like maybe you get a little reward at the end for being so obedient, right?
Well, I think that is your reward, according to the
reward is getting beaten.
Yeah, because you're not going to call for it if. I don't know. I think. Did she say what the?
Very well.
Look.
But you boys did very well, and you guys deserve to be rewarded.
Oh yeah, rewarded.
So, let's go.
Please, mistress.
And whip it good.
Yeah. So the whip it good.
So, okay.
That's your reward.
Okay. So that is your reward. Oh, then that's no fun.
Well,
unless you're into that sort of thing.
Maybe.
That doesn't sound good for me. You're just going to whip me for 25 minutes and then leave? Wait, I went through all that for nothing? I would be like, what the heck?
Yeah, you would have been duped.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kyle. I don't know if you know who you signed up for this podcast today.
I thought you were into this stuff. That's the only reason I brought you on, is because you're
You're like-
well known in the community for loving to get whipped.
The BDSM expert, Pluggo.
Right.
He's here
Yeah.
on the scene to break this down.
I mean, that name fits the kink, but yeah. So we got.
So I've been told a few times.
Hey, what do you think about Undertaker busting out some lucha stuff here? He's got like a magistral cradle. He's like doing these roll ups and cradles and submissions.
I thought it was pretty entertaining, but I'm sure they were like, don't do that again.
He's just trying
That's
to pop
not
himself.
That's not what you do. Well,
He
he's
does.
probably like, this is No Mercy 03. Like, none of this makes sense. Let me pull out some lucha stuff.
It's October. Nobody's watching.
Yeah, and Vince is like, listen, we had Eddie and Ray on. You don't need to do that. But
Yeah. I don't know.
I
man.
thought, I mean, again, the match was what it was. It was fine. Like, I'm not ever going to go out of my way to like watch it again. If somebody goes, what's your top 5 favorite matches of all time? I don't know if this will even crack the
It's not even a top 5 Brock and Undertaker match. Let's
right.
be honest.
You're just like, it was there. No Mercy. It's October. They're Survivor Series is next month. This is just to get some buy rates, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I know what you're thinking. You're like, this match kind of stinks, but you know what would make it good is if the FBI made an appearance. Well, lucky for you. Lucky for you. We got Nunzio attacking Undertaker in a main event of a pay-per-view, which is just wild. Little Guido's out there to try to alter the WWE Championship match. So Undertaker... It's a good question. There's really no answer, but it's a good question.
It's that Ryan Reynolds meme, but why?
Undertaker choke slams Brock off the top rope because Brock was going for the chain. Choke slams him. Now Undertaker goes for the chain. The FBI storms the ring. You got Nunzio, Chuck Palumbo, and Johnny Stamboli. Undertaker just shits on all of them. Gives Brock Lesnar the last ride. Then Undertaker just busts out a dive over the top rope, which I don't think he had done. Because there was a couple WrestleManias in a row where he would do that every time. But I think this might have been the first time he did it, where he just leaps over the top rope onto Chuck and the Bull, Johnny Stamboli. The other side of the ring, Nunzio is trying to go for the chain, which is at least 5 Nunzios above him. And so this allows Taker to get over there, tosses Nunzio out of the ring. Taker finally grabs the chain, but then that goddamn Vince McMahon's out there, came out of nowhere, shoves Undertaker, crotches Taker on the top rope. Brock Lesnar grabs the chain that he did not grab, so he shouldn't be able to use.
Right. Yeah. But Vince is out there, so everything's out. It doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, it's fucking Brock Lesnar.
Vince
wraps the
shouldn't
chain.
be cheating on his wife. That's like in the contract.
You know what? That's probably this here is probably not doesn't even make the top 5 dastardly things Vince did on this show. So you know what?
Yeah.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But Vince or Lesnar grabs the chain, wraps it around his fist, smashes Taker with it, and gets the 1, 2, 3. So I like that the chain led to the win, but the logic here is there's so many holes here, and it was kind of a whatever match ultimately. But building to Taker versus Vince at Survivor Series, so I don't know. It was what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Thank
man.
you for picking the finest pay-per-view that you could find for my debut appearance.
Oh man, no better way to introduce you to the apron bump here.
I usually say thank you for having me, and this is my first and last appearance because of my antics. But I don't know if my DMs are going to be open after you made me sit through that. I'm kidding. This was awesome, dude.
Nah, I got some good sound bites of you that I will surely use. Something about you being a good boy. There's something in there. There's something in there.
Yeah. my wife is going to see this and go, "What the fuck?" And I go, "Hey."
You're letting you're letting our kinks out into the world.
No, she'll be like, "You're letting your kinks out of the world." I'm not doing that.
Oh, well, hey, maybe she will be receptive to it. Maybe this turns everything around.
Maybe she's like, "Oh, I've been into this whole time too."
Well, Pluggo,
opens like a secret room in our house, and I'm just like, "Oh, where did this come from? I
Danny
thought
Basham's
we were
there.
broke."
He got you some leather pants and
She's got
some
like
nipple
the stand-
clamps.
Yep. I'm like, Happy wife, happy life, I guess. Oh, shucks.
Well, I'll tell you what makes me happy. It's you, sir. You, between the beards. Appreciate you coming on. We'll get your co-host in next time. Or maybe he can just drop in some sound bites if he has really scathing thoughts on this show. We'll figure something out. But where can everybody find you guys, listen to you, watch you, and whip you in the hiney if you so choose?
Well, you can find me in the doghouse whenever this airs.
Arr.
You know, the wife might shut it down after this. But no, you can find me, Pluggo, on all social medias. You look up Pluggo, you see this face. I'm all over the place. Between Two Beards with my co-host JPJ every Thursday night on Love Wrestling CA on YouTube. You can find what we got going on as a show. We're heading to SummerSlam this in a couple weeks. We're going to be doing some things out there. We got some cool guests lined up for the next few weeks. So go ahead and hit us up at B2Beards on all social medias. You can stay up to date with everything we're doing. And then Saturday or Sunday mornings, I am with Blair Pacheco of the Grainmaker Podcast, talking everything independent wrestling on Love Wrestling CA on the same channel. And if you want to check out some writing I've done, lovewrestling.ca, that's where you can find me. I do a lot of stuff for these Love Wrestling folks. I don't know how they're going to feel after they hear that I'm into some weird shit.
Yeah.
But hey, I've been doing a lot, so maybe you just let it slide.
You said you've been punished enough, right?
Yeah. I've been punished enough. Just hey, listen, I'm into what I'm into. Okay, boss. No, but yeah, that's where you can find me. And dude, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun, and I love watching goofy pay-per-views. So this was perfect.
Oh well, I got some TNA for you to watch if you're into that.
I'm in, man. You just say the word, I'll get it watched, and I'm in.
Once again, thank you to Pluggo from Between Two Beards for joining me on this episode. A great time with Pluggo. We'll definitely be having him on, and hopefully his co-host at some point. Go check out Between Two Beards on YouTube through Love Wrestling. All this stuff will be in the description as well. Follow me at Apron Bump. Like, subscribe, ring my bell, twist my nipples, rub me in oil, call me a slutty little slug, and roll me across the floor until I secrete out of all my orifices. Do that if you want to support me. You have to do all those things. I don't make the rules. I think this pay-per-view just got me a little aroused, so I'm gonna take care of that. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Love you all. Big old smooches all over your face and all over your tum-tum. I'm hard.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.